Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So the Labour Party has their new leader, if leader is even the right word, somebody who's been voted to the top, I suppose, because, hey, this time they do appreciate democracy, but hey, maybe they will have another people's vote. Another one, seeing as that is what Keir Starmer wanted before, but they do have another hypocrite in charge, another privately educated straight white man who doesn't want other people to have the same opportunities as he did, of course. So, other than him obviously looking as if he clearly has come from private education, and I think maybe he's been pushed around a bit too much and taken that to heart. It reminds me a bit of Louis C.K.'s joke about saying, if he could go back in time, he wouldn't kill Hitler. He just rape him. He thinks that would be enough. Everyone's like, "Oh, do you want to invade Poland?" It's like, nah, I'm just gonna have a shower. Just gonna get a shower. Yeah, that it's to me at least it's a similar kind of expression. Someone who seems to be in the midst of crying and is dealing with their own demons, which we're not allowed to joke about, but is still hilarious nonetheless. And is somebody who, by all means, go have their retreat, go deal with themselves, and maybe not try and lead the country's second largest party through those dark times. But, well done. At least then that's empathy. You've got a load of things you can call upon when you're supposed to look sad in front of the camera, so well done to you for that. At least you've got that going for you. So, yes, Keir Starmer has vowed to lead Labour into a new era with confidence and hope. Not looking very confident to me, mate. After decisively winning the contest to succeed Jeremy Corbyn. Yes, yet another straight white man, the only main British party that is yet to have a female leader. And I mention that because that's the kind of thing that they care about it. As we saw with Dawn Butler not winning the VP nomination, saying, it must be anti-black racism. It's like, yeah, or she just hates Britain and everything that it stands for. And maybe that even within the tens of thousands of Labour Party members and their voters, that they actually still do like the country of Britain, and of course the hundreds of thousands of members who then also voted. So they say that the lawyer who became an MP in 2015 won on the first round of voting with more than 50% of ballots cast. Walk in the park. After his victory, Keir spoke to Boris Johnson and agreed to meet next week to discuss the coronavirus crisis. In a video message released by the Labour Party, Keir promised to work constructively in opposition and said he hoped Labour, when the time comes, can serve our country again in government. But, of course, the ice picks are out. He is still wishing to push not Corbyn's message per se, despite trying to say, he did well. And obviously it's nice to have deference to the previous leader, I understand that. But at some point you've got to say, he was a nice guy, we got on well, but I think, he couldn't quite get the message out as necessary, or he had the wrong ideas, it's not quite pushing in the right direction, something like that. That at some point the platitudes and compliments which you would give to somebody, you've got to be realistic at some point. So if you're being nice, then be nice, and I'm not going to mark you down for that, of course. But you still got to be realistic, given that other people are looking at you as well. They're looking for you to lead the way. And if that's your take on it, if your take is to be so supportive of somebody who has visibly shown themselves to be an utter failure and have a historic defeat, I don't think that's going to put in hope and confidence into your supporters. And he's an out-and-out socialist as well. It's all for the many, not the Jew. Despite him saying, it's so bad with the anti-Semitism. It's like, yeah, would you like to have a guess as to why? So he won with 56%. Second was Rebecca Long-Bailey at 28%, and then Lisa Nandy at 16%. John McDonnell would be so sad, I'm sure. But yes, the women can't catch a break, can they? Not in the Labour Party, no. Even with Long-Bailey saying this morning, the two of the three candidates are women, so we're definitely going to get a woman in this time. It's like, no, you're not. No, and if you wish to blame sexism, just like Elizabeth Warren did for the Democratic voters in America, by all means, go ahead. But then this comes back to clean your room, as Peterson would say, or if you want to go biblical, then before you try and deal with the speck in someone else's eye, take out the plank in your own. And I think it's that level of self-awareness which I think needs to come out. And at some point, you can try and push it aside and blame other factors, but when things keep happening like that, and it seems to be you against the world, and people are telling you that you're wrong, surely at some point you've got to think, maybe by me keep doing the same thing and getting a bad result, maybe it's about time that I change my plan. So we're hoping that there's going to be that kind of reform, so that the Labour Party can then be there to show how bad communism and socialism is, and actually have a platform there, so everybody realizes, wow, this is utter shit. So when the Conservatives try to do the same thing, they go, no. If we wanted that, we would vote for the other party, and we don't. So can you please stop that Marxist bullshit? We're not interested. And hopefully then the Conservatives can slowly eke their way back over to the right, and we can start to get our freedoms back. Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of thinking that everything is given by the government, understanding that the government can only take away your rights, that somebody else's privilege is your responsibility. And if you're trying to say you can give rights, well, no, of course you can't. You're just limiting the freedom of other people. There are certain things which are, of course, a human right that you're bestowed when you're born, which you can see if you're just out in nature, for example. But then when it's something else like healthcare is a human right, well, no, I'm not going to stop you from helping yourself. By all means, that's your right to bodily autonomy. But forcing somebody else to do things to you and for you, at that point it's crossing the line that no, it's not a right, because they have their own rights as well, which is then when we get into universally preferable behaviour, which is that is it a standard of which everybody could do it in a way that would be enjoyable? The go-to is, of course, theft, that is understandably universally non-preferable behaviour, given that if people were okay with stealing, then they wouldn't have any property, and seeing as stealing is taking something without permission, then it wouldn't be stealing because you've got the permission to take it in the first place. So that, by definition, cannot be universally preferable behaviour. So then it comes down to, again, being told and made to do things that you don't want to do, and have reasoning to not do it, of course. Things that are bad for you and for those around you. That sometimes doing something for somebody is even bad for the person that you're doing it for. So, getting back to Keir Starmer, with that in mind, that even if someone has the best of intentions trying to help somebody out, that can still be bad for them. He has described himself as a socialist but not a Corbynite, and vowed to keep key policies from the Corbyn era, such as nationalising rail, mail and water, and repealing anti-union laws. Why don't you ask the Young Turks how unions are when you've actually got to deal with them? In a 10-point plan. Oh, brilliant. Are you going to have your 5 and 10 year plans as well? It's just straight out the USSR. Are you still dreaming of Stalin? So the MP for Holborn and St Pancras in London had been the odds-on favourite to win the contest, having received the backing of more MPs and local Labour branches than his rivals, as well as significant union support. And of course, that's the main thing, that's where the lobbyists are, that's where the big voting blocks are, that's where they tell their people how to vote. They're the people you've got to appease. That is where lobbying comes in. That is why people think, oh, big businesses, they're bad. It's like, well, no, not really. It's basically just them then telling the government what to do and then making special exclusions for them, and that's where then these voting blocks come from, saying, well, you're only going to be in power if you do this. And it's like, well, how about we do principle instead of power? But no. So he's got Lammy's support, which is surprising, of course, given that, hey, this is a white guy. How is that ever okay? But hey, nonetheless, well done. You found common ground. Almost as if ideas are more important than skin colour. And if you can take that to heart, Mr. Lammy, I think we'll all be much better off. The other candidates, Bailey and Nandi, have said well done, and you would make a good Prime Minister, and outgoing, thank God, Shadow Chancellor John McCommunist, who backed along Bailey, urged the party to unite now as a movement to achieve our socialist aim. Same guy who's calling for insurrection, yes, a violent revolution to overthrow the Conservatives, to retroactively create laws and retroactively punish the Conservatives for them, because they don't fit into their socialist communist agenda. That same guy is still calling for the socialist aim, which seems to include insurrection. So keep your keep your civil liberties. Ensure that you are able to defend yourself, but by making sure that these people do get a platform, they do get to speak, we get to see just how ridiculous they are, and we can mock them and ridicule them as well. That will keep them away from power. That by having these people speak, it gives you a load of information in order to tear down, but predominantly mock and ridicule, because you're not going to vote for somebody who you're laughing at, that you're mocking. So that is where it really comes into play, and why you should be able to platform them so that you can tear them apart. So don't allow them to be silenced, to then go underground and think that violence is their only option. Keep letting them speak. Keep letting themselves dig their own holes, dig their own graves, and then all you've got to do is just give them a light little shove in the right direction, and it's as simple as that. So hey, in this era, we can usher in some new free speech rulings, enable people to say what's on their mind, and allow people to be ridiculed and mocked and ripped to shreds because of it. So good news. And until next time, stay indoors. Stay safe and have a good one.